last night, the first half an hour, I didn't feel like I was, able to hit the ball at all, to be honest. And, you try and scrap through that, and then you find a little bit of rhythm. And then today probably started to feel a little bit better. I think some of the pace in the wicket was probably lost overnight, and the ball was obviously a fair bit older, so maybe made batting slightly easier. But as ever, the longer you spend out there, I think the easier it becomes.
And Ben, you didn't even think you were going to be playing in this game. You find yourself out there coming in as a concussion substitute, and you get your maiden half century. It's been a red letter day.
Yeah, it has rather. Obviously, as you said, it's under difficult circumstances. Didn't ever want George to get concussed or anything like that, but he's doing all right. He did a bike session today and he's having no headaches anymore, so just to let everyone know that. And yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity that I've been handed really, and it's nice to spend some time out there with Tommy. If he's saying he's looking bad, I hate to see what I was looking like. But yeah, it's thoroughly enjoyable and nice to get some runs as well.
And not a typical Ben Green innings, really, or certainly the one I've seen you play in the past. I mean, it was a cautious affair.
Well, yeah, I think I was. I mean, I don't really. I think I've become more measured in my age a bit, but yeah, I was certainly a bit more watchful than normal, probably. But I was determined to kind of knuckle down for the boys, I think, really.
Well batted. Tom, state of the game, you must be pretty happy with the way things have panned out, especially after you were 149 for 8 on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Delighted with the position we're in. I think what Davos and our tail showed on day one was pretty special, really, given the position we were in and the way they were bowling. They really got us out of a hole. And then, I mean, I guess our bowling's been, probably a strength of ours for quite a while now. And, we're fully aware of what they're capable of. And once again, they, delivered yesterday. And going into today, we always knew it was going to be probably tougher. I think it was always, they were never going to hand us the 10 wickets that we needed to win the game. But I thought we stuck to our task really well this evening. As I said earlier, I think some of the pace in the wicket was lost today, which is, to be expected. And but I thought we kept coming really well, and sort of to pick up, that late wicket at the end, I think, has given us a real boost ahead of tomorrow.
And the game plan for tomorrow, presumably more of the same. Be patient and keep plugging away and wait for something to happen.
Yeah, I guess that's what we pride ourselves really on as a bowling attack is, being really aggressive, but being relentless in our areas as well, sort of challenging in and around that off stump, which I think the bowling group has done impeccably. So, yeah, more of the same tomorrow. Give the batters no respite whatsoever.
Tom Abel Tunn put Somerset in pole position. England international Craig Overton put Somerset in the driving seat on day 2. In reply to the home team's total of 296. To compound matters for the visitors, James Hildreth and Tom Abel were well set, but there would be hope for the Welsh county in the first ball of the day. Hildreth looked to play into the offside, but could only feather one through to Cook to depart for 45. Tom Abel would manage to play his way through to 50. DeLange punched off the back foot through the offside for 4 to reach the milestone. Abel, now joined by Green in place of George Bartlett, didn't look back. The early Glamorgan joy gave way to frustration as the talented Somerset captain accumulated through the morning session. While the scoring was far from free-flowing, the commanding position already enjoyed by Somerset heading into the day's play meant the home side had the luxury of time on their hands, and it showed. By the time the pair had reached lunch, the score was 210 for 3 and the lead 25 short of 300. Abel reverted to type after the break, 3 figures now in the Somerset captain's sights. He got there 5 overs after the restart, punishing Bull with 24 overs off 5 balls, his century punctuated by back-to-back sixes. But the spinner would have the last laugh, picking up the prize wicket with the last ball of the very same over. That wicket slowed progress, but Somerset's lead was now already over 400 runs. Stephen Davis was looking to slog when he was bowled by Bull, playing around the delivery to depart for 18. The next over saw Douthwaite pick up 2. Green was the first to go, caught trying to lift one over Wag at mid-off. Jamie Overton followed 2 balls later, another to miss time an attacking shot, caught at deep mid-wicket by Hemphrey. The innings came to an end a few overs later. Van der Merwe looped a catch to Selman, and the declaration followed with a score 290 for 8. It meant Glamorgan's target for victory was 456 runs, a target so high that it would be the second highest 4th innings total in the history of the county championship. The chase would get off to the worst possible start. Only Nick Selman will know why he allowed a Craig Overton delivery to hit him on the pads uncontested. He had to depart, just 3 balls into the innings. Carlson was Overton's next scalp. He looked to jam the bat down on a full delivery, but could only guide a catch to Jamie Overton in the slips. Jamie had a wicket of his own just before tea. Hemphrey couldn't pull out of the shot in time and looped a catch straight back to Overton. That left Glamorgan 29 for 3 with 1 session left in the day. Survival would be their focus for the remainder, while the home side had their tails up and would be looking to wrap it up within 3 days. They managed to steady the ship at the start of the evening session. Billy Root combined well with captain Chris Cook to ensure they'd make it to 50 without further damage suffered. The pair made a good attempt of a rescue job and almost took their side to 100. Root was removed, bowled around his legs as he attempted the reverse sweep, a wicket Van der Merwe clearly enjoyed. Cook, now joined by Douthwaite, guided his side through to 3 figures. It looked like they would scrape through to stumps without further loss, but with the last ball of the day, Jamie Overton struck, Douthwaite out LBW, and Glamorgan now 5 down. They'd finished the day 126 for 5, still in need of a massive 330 runs to win. Batting out the final day could be a more achievable, if still daunting, target.
Good morning and welcome to the Cooper Associates County Ground at Taunton for the 4th day of this Bob Willis Trophy 4-day match between Somerset and Glamorgan. The match situation is that Glamorgan in their second innings, needing 456 to win, are 126 for 5. Their captain Chris Cook, 67 not out. A wicket fell to the 4th ball of the final over yesterday evening. Dan Douthwaite being adjudged LBW to Jamie Overton. So Graham Wagg, we assume, will come in next and begin what may or may not be a crucial partnership with his captain. I'm Anthony Gibson from BBC Somerset. With me is BBC Wales's Nick Webb, and Chris Cook had, when you talked to him last night, Nick, he certainly hadn't given up all hope of saving this game, and made much of the fact that Graham Wagg has a 200
indeed
to his name.
A double century at Guildford in 2015 in an innings that helped Glamorgan to come from a precarious position to build a match-winning position. But although Wagg batted with probably more application than anyone else in the first innings, it would take an awful lot to repeat this on this sort of wicket, which again is has been offering quite a bit of bounce and lift to the bowlers, mainly the Overtons.
But less yesterday than in the first couple of days, I thought.
Yes, if Glamorgan were 3 down instead of 5 down, there might be a realistic hope of saving this game. And of course Chris Cook has experience of batting through a final day against Nottinghamshire a few years back with the company of Colin Ingram, in which they blunted a knot's attack, including Stuart Broad, who bowled 30 odd overs without reward in that innings. But I fear that sort of performance might be a long way away from Glamorgan's capabilities. We will see.
We will see. They need another 330 runs to reach their target of 456. They have 90 overs in which to get those runs, which is a rate I can reveal to you of 3.66. So 3 2/3 runs per over, which would take a bit of getting under any circumstances. Don't think that victory will be featuring largely in the thought patterns of the two batsmen out there at the moment. Survival is the key. It'll be interesting to see how Wagg goes about his business. He will be on strike to Jamie Overton for the final 2 balls of the 49th over. He's got 3 slips and a gully, and he's coming in from the river end. He bowls now to Wagg, and Wagg just dabs that out into the offside. The usual shouts of encouragement and appreciation, approbation from the slips. Doesn't matter if it's 3 feet outside the leg stump. They say, "Go on, bowling, Jamie."
Good areas.
Yeah, good areas. It's cloudy here at Taunton. It's quite warm. I don't think there's any threat of rain. Weather forecast says light cloud, and that's precisely what we've got. Last ball then of the over, Overton to Wagg, and he turns that into the onside. It's picked up by Josh Davey, and that completes the 49th over. Nothing added to the overnight 126 for 5.
I'm not quite sure how people can say good areas without smirking these days. It is such a cliche, isn't it?
But there's a whole new sort of vocabulary. It's like, they say of a bowler, he dotted well.
Oh, really? Oh dear,
yeah,
I haven't heard that one.
Oh, yeah, he dotted well. It means bowled a lot of dot balls.
Yes, quite. Well, it can turn anything into a verb these days, as our Olympians have. I mean, medal was bad enough, but to podium is even more ludicrous. A podium is a thing you stand on, not a thing you do. 126 for 5, Borodar to Andrew Hignell, who is listening and viewing with interest the scoring carried out by the home side for these matches. As in comes Craig Overton to bowl, and that's played down in front of him by Chris Cook.
I think it's the first time Craig Overton's bowled from this end, from the Somerset Pavilion end.
Yes, I believe so. Jamie, I think, has bowled at both ends in the first innings, but maybe Jamie has pulled rank or said, it's my turn. Craig Overton then, wearing 7. Turns nice, straight, rhythmic run up. Bowls to Cook, who allows that to go through outside off stump. To Steve Davis. It is much cloudier than yesterday. There's only a modicum of blue sky ahead as we stare up to the Quantocks.
Just about enough to make a pair of sailor's trousers. That's for the benefit of my mother-in-law.
Should any sailors be in the vicinity of the county ground, Taunton. 126 for 5. Craig Overton to Cook, who allows that one to go through, moving away outside off stump and taken by Stephen Davis in front of first slip. So this might be the sort of morning which may result in little cricket being played, where it would have been relatively quiet in terms of spectators anyway. But sadly, they don't have the option. Craig Overton to Cook, who's forward defensively pushing out on the offside. Abel comes in from mid-off, but Craig Overton says, I'll do it myself, thank you, and walks back towards us, polishing the ball on his shirt.
Not much sign of any seam movement, and certainly no swing for Craig Overton. He doesn't swing the ball hugely in any case. Hits the pitch hard.
Yeah, it's
gets it to go both ways off the seam.
Hostile enough without the swing. Craig Overton bowls. Good ball played by Cook and the offside into a little gap, and they hasten through for a single to get the scoreboard moving for day 4. 127 for 5. Glamorgan. Cook under 68 not out.
And you've got to feel that this is the partnership that if Somerset can break it reasonably early on, they'll reckon they're a long way towards mopping up this Glamorgan second innings. We've still got Kieran Bull, who showed in the first innings that he can defend effectively. And then you've got the 3 big fast bowlers who like to put bat to ball.
So Graham Wagg facing up to Craig Overton for the first time. Bowls, and Wagg fences at that one. Excellent delivery. Again, a bit of bounce extracted from the Somerset Pavilion end by Craig Overton, so not deterred by the change of ends. Beat the batsman all ends up as Wagg and Cook meet for a mid-wicket chat.
Yes, it just shows that Craig Overton is by some margin the most effective bowler that we've seen on this surface. I can't recall any other quick bowler extracting that sort of bounce from this pitch from this end.
No.
All of the exaggerated bounce has been bowling from the river end. And I wouldn't say the quick bowlers have struggled from this end, but they've found it difficult to get the ball to do anything out of the ordinary. Jamie Overton then continuing from the river end. He's in bowling to Cook, who turns that into the onside, but only as far as Ben Green, who's fielding out by the square leg umpire, Russell Warren. We've got a very interesting contrast in umpires. Russell Warren, who's tall and lean. Ian Blackwell, who's fairly tall, but not particularly tall, but not particularly lean. And Russell Warren very reluctant to give LBW decisions, as Graham Wagg discovered to his cost yesterday morning. Whereas Ian Blackwell seems to need no second invitation. Here's Jamie Overton in and bowls, and that's dabbed down almost. And they come back for a second. It was almost a sort of reflex dab at that. Quick delivery. But Chris Cook picks up 2 runs.
Yes, it looked initially like a risky shot, but he did get on top of it. Played it down into the ground through the gully area.
Yet again being drawn into playing a shot, though, at a ball that he could very easily have just let fly harmlessly past to wicket-keeper Davies. Here's Jamie Overton again to Cook, who's there and bowls, and gets that one to take off from just short of the length, but too wide of off stump. Cook has nothing whatever to do with it. Lots of mutual encouragement from the Somerset players. Tom Abel with the ball now. Talked to him yesterday evening, and he felt that he hadn't. He was delighted to have got a century, but didn't feel that he was anywhere near his best yet. And said how difficult he'd found it on Sunday evening. Coming in, it was really quite a struggle. Jamie Overton in and bowls, and that's in the air but wide of Abel, and Abel goes in pursuit. He'll pull it in 5 or 10 yards inside the boundary, and they'll come back for a second run. Just a moment when that ball was in the air, you probably heard the shout of catch it. He's nowhere near Tom Abel.
Very good morning to Mary Pearson, who's looking forward to the commentary as light relief from PhD chapter writing. Morning, Mary.
131 for 5. Cook moves on to 72. He waits as Overton bowls and just drops his bat underneath the line of another good, short, fast delivery from Jamie Overton, who's come all the way down into the batsman's crease. I don't think he actually said anything to him. He just looked hard at Chris Cook, but Chris Cook's a tough nut and won't be in the least bit phased by being eyeballed by a 6'5" fast bowler.
Not particularly demonstrative on the field, Chris Cook.
Tough, phlegmatic South African. Jamie Overton turns. This long, straight approach. He's in and bowls, and this is driven nicely by Cook. Over pitch, that will run up towards the Colin Atkinson pavilion and will beat the attempt of Tom Abel to chase it down, and that's 4 runs, and that's 135 for 5 at the end of that over. 76 to Cook, and Graham Wagg yet to open his account.
Yes, Chris Cook now England qualified by virtue of his long Welsh residence. Married to a Welsh lady with kids born over here.
He's still got a bit of a South African twang.
He has, yes. Bit of a miss for Hampshire, really, because when he first came over, having played a bit of first-class cricket for Western Province, he was playing club cricket in the Bournemouth area. But somehow it was Glamorgan who picked him up rather than Hampshire. Craig Overton runs away from us and bowls to Wagg and beats him. Graham Wagg holds the pose. It was a classical forward defensive from the textbook. It was just, unfortunately, on the wrong line.
Another terrific delivery from Craig Overton.
Richard Black says, after listening for the first 3 days, I might do something more relaxing at work, such as putting my hand in a lathe. Would like us to show some pluck and fight even in a losing cause. The BBC commentary team does not recommend putting your hand in a lathe. I'd like to make that clear. Craig Overton bowls to Wagg, who's off the mark, turning one off-leg stump down to fine leg for a single. 136 for 5. Glass half full, asked Dave Jones. Possibly slightly less than half from the Welsh point of view. Edward Cooper provides a pictorial representation of a possible Glamorgan strategy. He's found a stamp showing a lifeboat and a helicopter above it. Not quite sure what the cricketing equivalent of helicopter rescue is. 136 for 5. Craig Overton bowls. Chris Cook has nothing to do with that one outside the off stump. If you wish to tweet us at AntGib and or at NickWebb 2017. please do so. So quite a still morning actually. Yesterday was sunnier and slightly breezier. Perfectly pleasant conditions, unlike up north where it is grim. As that is down leg side and will run away for 4 byes, I think. Leg byes. Umpire Warren has mercy on the Steve Davis's figures. Just a flick off the pad as it ran away down to fine leg, eluding Steve Davis down the leg side.
Yeah, he just didn't quite get that right, Craig Overton. That was his effort ball. He just puts a little bit extra in. Jack Brooks doing a few stretches at mid-on. Perhaps he'll come into the attack from the river end. May just come on for an over to let Craig Overton bowl from the river end. We will see.
Craig Overton into bowl. Cook getting on top of it and playing it down on the offside. Referring to It's Grim Up North, I didn't mean generally, I meant specifically at Chester Street, where Yorkshire 103 for 3, needing a further 60 or thereabouts to beat Durham. But
is it raining up there?
It's rain, no play before lunch. So Yorkshire favourites to win that match. As Craig Overton is in to bowl, and Cook plays it somehow out on the offside. I think he was trying to leave it, but the ball struck his bat. Other 2 games in this central group briefly. Gloucestershire against Worcestershire at Bristol. Gloucestershire are 139 for 3. That is still 143 for 3. Still 18 runs behind Worcestershire, which is where Glamorgan go on Saturday. And news of Somerset's other opponents, Northants, as they are fighting back and may well salvage a draw against Warwickshire. They're 331 for 6, but that's a lead of only 104, so that one's still precariously poised. Tim Bresnan has 3 wickets to add to his century for Warwickshire.
A draw there would suit Somerset very well.
Indeed.
But, Warwickshire are the main threat, I think, as seen by Somerset, especially as Somerset have got to play Warwickshire at Edgbaston. Jamie Overton to bowl another over. He's bowling to Wag. He's there and bowls down the leg side, and Wag makes a half-hearted attempt just to get something on it, but fails to do so. We've got 3 slips and a gully. James Hildreth in his habitual short-sleeved Somerset cable knit jumper. We've got Craig Overton at 2nd slip, Roloff van der Merwe at 3rd, Tom Lammonby in the gully, then Eddie Byram at backward point, Tom Abel at a wide mid-off, well, midway between mid-off and extra cover really. Jack Brooks at mid-on, and this is edged and caught, and that is the breakthrough for Somerset. He followed that, did Graham Wag. He didn't need to play at it. It was angling away from him. There was plenty of bounce from Jamie Overton, but he just couldn't help himself, Graham Wag, and he almost guided it into the gloves of Stephen Davis behind the wicket, and that is the 6th Glamorgan wicket to go down. It's Graham Wag caught Steve Davis, bowled Jamie Overton for 1, and it's 140 for 6, and an important breakthrough for Somerset.
Yes, well described. He probably knew he shouldn't play at it, couldn't help it, drawn into it. It was not one that was coming back at him, but just followed it fatally and got a faint but audible from this distance nick through to Steve Davis, and no real decision to make for umpire Blackwell. 140 for 6, just 14 runs added for that 6th wicket this morning then, as Chris Cook takes a drink on board, and I would imagine it would be Kieran Bull who will be joining Cook at the crease, because Rory Smith, who usually bats 8, came in at 10 in the first innings, hampered by a hamstring injury, and I wonder if we will see Rory Smith actually bat today, if Glamorgan are miles adrift of safety. 140 for 6 as Bull comes to the wicket. Dismissed for 23 in the first innings, a joint second top score, which doesn't say a lot.
3 wickets then for Jamie Overton, 3 for 40. His brother Craig 2 for 22, so the Overtons between them 5 for 62 in this innings. So it is Kieran Bull, the new batsman, and he faces Jamie Overton, who's coming in from the river end as they're down the leg side. Not a good delivery, not the one to produce. First up against the new batsman. That Tom Abel's just coming a little bit closer into short extra cover. I'm not sure if he's going to stay there or whether he will retreat. Yes, he retreats. But that was the breakthrough that Somerset needed. Graham Wagg, as we were saying earlier on, has a double century to his name in county cricket, first class cricket. But he's back in the pavilion as Jamie Overton is in and bowls to Bull. Oh dear, he just managed to pull his torso out of the way of a lifting delivery from Jamie Overton. That was quick.
That was a seriously good ball, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bull did well to get his gloves out of the way, really.
Ooh. Welcome to Taunton.
Quite so.
We're going to miss Jamie Overton down here. He's a very good acquisition for Surrey. He's in now, bowls, and again, quick lifting delivery, which Kieran Bull manages to lift his bat out of the way of. He resisted the temptation to try and give it a nudge. I must say, I think Graham Wagg counts himself a little bit unlucky when you think of the number of times Ben Green played almost identical shots to that against Marchant De Lange yesterday morning, and without getting an edge. And Graham Wagg, just about the first time he tries it, he feathered it through. Overton to Bull, and that's on leg stump. Turned down to fine leg, where it goes over the boundary rope with Jack Brooks, who's fielding down at long leg. It's rather squarer than that, which went down quite fine. So 4 runs, and Kieran Bull is off the mark with that 4, and it's 144 for 6 at the end of that over. Jamie Overton's figures: 12 overs, 2 maidens, 3 for 44.
You can imagine the reaction of Duncan Fletcher, former Glamorgan and England coach, who was furious at fielders being beaten on the inside. Fine of fine leg. Does tend to stray squarer in the first class game these days, that position, as Craig Overton bowls and Cook turns it off his pads down to fine leg for a single. This time it was straight to the fielder. 145 for 6 are Glamorgan. If you are just joining us, Graham Wagg, Court Davis bowled Jamie Overton for 1. So some demanding Somerset bowling from the Overton boys this morning. And it's Craig bowling his first spell of the match at the Somerset Pavilion end. In past umpire Warren. Bowls to Bull, who's hit on the pad. There's half a shout for LBW.
That wouldn't have hit another set. That was going down leg side a long way.
And it was a shout to umpire Warren rather than umpire Blackwell.
Yes, it might have been rather more vociferous if it had come from the other end.
Umpire Blackwell obviously sympathising with the bowling half of his career rather than the batting half. Craig Overton in to bowl, Bull behind it, playing it back down the wicket. No run. Overton makes as if to throw the ball at the non-striker's end. Chris Cook is there in his crease and leaning nonchalantly on his bat. It's a very still morning here in Taunton. the Somerset field. Here's the conventional 3 slips and a gully, 2 on either side of the wicket and a fine leg. Conventional in an attacking sense, that is, as Craig Overton bowls. Has Kieran Bull got anything on that? The ball looped through to the keeper. Umpire Warren decides that whatever it hit, it was not bat or glove.
Hard. We can't tell from here.
They've flicked off his body somewhere.
There wasn't much conviction about the appeal, was there?
No,
it was more in hope than expectation.
It certainly wasn't anything like a Stuart Broad celeb appeal, but then few things are.
I think Craig Overton in particular was just hoping it might have flicked the glove at some stage, but very difficult for the umpire to call that.
Craig Overton to Kieran Bull, who manages to get his bat out of the way of that with a definitive lift of the arms. These two really are bowling an impressive length and causing all sorts of problems for the batsman.
Yeah, you're getting bounce at both ends now. It's very tough out there for Kieran Bull, and Chris Cook's given a very good account of himself, I must say.
In comes Craig Overton again, bowls, and Bull plays that one with a solid defensive bat to point. End of the over, 145 for 6. Cook 77. Bull 4. Jamie Overton has 3 for 44, and Craig Overton 2 for 23.
Yep, and well, everyone connected with Somerset will be hoping that Craig Overton decides to stay. Word from him on Saturday evening was that he's still in negotiation with the club. His existing contract comes to an end at the end of this season. Jamie Overton then in and bowls, and that's down the leg side, and nicely taken by Stephen Davis.
Grumpy Git on the fall of the wicket remarked, "About time to, been waiting for the clatter of wickets. What took you so long? Only joking."
Well, there will be a considerable relief, I think, in Somerset cricket circles that Graham Wagg is back in the pavilion, because he's a feisty cricketer who would like nothing more than to frustrate Somerset for a couple of hours. Yeah, we got a Rollo van der Merwe going out to a shortish extra cover for that drive that Cook doesn't quite keep down, as this is turned away down towards Brooks at long leg. They're going to come back for a second run, and they will make it quite comfortably. Jack Brooks, a little bit lethargic, is probably putting it a bit too strongly, but he didn't sprint to that ball with quite the determination that he might have done, and Cook spotted that and decided he'd come back for a second.
Steve West on Twitter inquires whether I bought a packed lunch today and will I be eating it prematurely in the car on the way home. Well, I think even if there's a clatter of wickets, by the time we get post-match interviews and write up reports and tidy up, lunch will be consumed here.
147 for 6 is the score. Man out this morning, Graham Wagg, who was caught behind off the bowling of Jamie Overton for just 1. And it's Jamie Overton steaming in from the river end. He's there, he bowls to Cook, and that's edged down to the gully, but he played that with soft hands, did Cook, and it reached Tom Lammonby on the first bounce, bounced a couple of yards in front of him. But Jamie Overton again finding the edge of the bat, but Cook's played the Overtons well, not going hard at the ball outside the off stump. Just got the 2 slips and a gully with a short extra cover. Rollo van der Merwe with his hands on his knees, about 20 yards from the bat, as Jamie Overton is in and bowls, and a defensive shot from Chris Cook just drops the ball down into the offside. Clouds slightly greyer than they were earlier on. The blue sky, the patches of blue sky have disappeared. A few people, 1, 2, 3, 4 people sitting out on the communal area of the flats away to our left. It's quite a pleasant day. The thermometer in the car was reading 18 degrees as I came into the ground this morning. As Jamie Overton comes in from the river end to Cook. He's there, he bowls, and that's a bouncer, and well taken, leaping above his head by Stephen Davis.
Yes, Cook had his bat up in the air there, not trying to play a shot, but he might have been better advised to keep it down so it didn't catch an upright bat on the way through. Anyway, no harm done.
147 for 6 is the Glamorgan score. Silence around the ground, apart from the cries of the gulls overhead as Overton is in and bowls, and that's turned down towards Jack Brooks, who this time has further ground to make and can in no way be blamed for them coming back for the second run, which they did comfortably enough. 149 for 6, with Chris Cook moving on to 81, so he's got a century in his sights.
Yeah, top score last season of 96 in his half season. Wrecked by injury. Nasty ankle injury suffered while batting at Newport, where he turned for a run and fell in a heap and got carted off. 149 for 6. Craig Overton to Kieran Bull, who turns it past square leg and will probably pick up a couple of runs here. Won't reach the boundary. It's hauled up about 10 metres inside, in front of the car park away to our right. And Bull moves on to 6, and Glamorgan 151 for 6, so marginally better than their first innings of 131, which featured no score higher than 28. And the first 6 batsmen all out for single figures, but the next ball is allowed to go through by Bull, outside off stump, but this innings has still had a few individual failures. Humphrey made 20, Root 26, Cook 81 not out, the only man in double figures in this second innings. So, how far into today can Glamorgan push this contest? Wicket of Graham Wagg in the first half hour of play. There's Craig Overton bowls, and again on the leg stump, down to fine leg, a single to Bull, and if one were to be ultra critical, there has been a little bit of straying down leg side from both bowlers this morning. More so
from Craig Overton than on Saturday, when he was absolutely immaculate in his line, but he just let 2 or 3 go down the leg side. There was the 4 leg byes that were conceded earlier on.
In comes Craig Overton, bowls to Cook, who cuts hard but straight to point, and there's no run. Off somewhere towards the end of the bat. Timed it fairly well, not perfectly, but couldn't place it either side of the fielder.
Yeah, modern bats, even if you do get it off the toe, it still goes pretty well.
So they tell me. 152 for 6. Next delivery, something of an inside edge from Cook. It's gone down to fine leg. He was probably looking to play a lot straighter than that, but it's reasonably safe anyway. Cook to 82, 153 for 6.
That was the one that Craig Overton brings back into the right-handed batsman.
Away from us runs Craig Overton again, and bowls, and Bull slightly squared up, but Gets a thick edge down into the gully to complete the Craig Overton over. He has 2 for 27 off 15. Jamie Overton has 3 for 48 off 13. And how long do you reckon these two have got in them? Another couple of overs each, maybe?
Well, Craig can bowl longer spells than Jamie. I would have thought. How many overs have we had this morning? 7, haven't we? 7 and a bit. Is Jamie Overton in and bowls down the leg side. So maybe this will be Jamie Overton's final over of this spell. And it'll be interesting to see whether Tom Abel gives Josh Davey a go from the river end, or whether he prefers Jack Brooks.
Realistically, I mean, with so many runs to play with, 303 to be exact, and so much time to play with, he might as well just give the bowlers who he feels need the bowling time that opportunity.
There's Jamie Overton racing in from the river end. He's there, he bowls outside the off stump, and Chris Cook lifts his bat out of the way of that. Noises of approval from the slip cordon. Slightly depleted slip cordon, just 2 slips and a gully. 3 saving 1 on the offside, backward point, extra cover and mid-off. Mid-on, deep mid-wicket, and a long leg. So the deep mid-wicket, or deep forward square leg really, there for the short ball. And the hook that might respond to it, and there's a rush of blood from Chris Cook there. That was wide outside the off stump. He aimed a big off drive at it, and fortunately for him, made no contact.
Yes, that could have gone anywhere, couldn't it? It could have flown through the covers, or it could have flown into Slip's hands.
It was a fine swing of the bat. He didn't move his feet move his left foot anywhere near the line of that delivery.
I suppose the thinking was that it was a run-scoring opportunity rather than a potential threat, but of course it was both.
Jamie Overton tries again. Cook with his bat raised just drops that into the offside, and Eddie Byram comes in from backward point to do the fielding. 155 for 6. Beg your pardon, 153 for 6. So Glamorgan on the point of reducing the runs required to below 300, but only 4 wickets in hand. As Overton is in, bowls to Cook outside the off stump. Cook lets it slide away from him through to Stephen Davis. Somerset have got Northamptonshire up next, and we'll be hoping that possibly 3 out of their 4 England connected players will be back in the side. Lewis Gregory reserve for the one-day side. Tom Banton, who's playing against Ireland today. As Jamie Overton's in and bowls, and is caught by James Hildreth, and that is the end of the Glamorgan captain. It was an authentic thickish edge which went at comfortable catching height to James Hildreth, who got everything behind it and clutched it gratefully to his midriff. It's the 7th Glamorgan wicket to go down on 153, and it's the Glamorgan captain, Chris Cook, caught Hildreth, bowled Jamie Overton for 82, and you've got to feel, Nick Webb, that the end is now nigh.
Yes, I don't think we will be detained beyond the luncheon interval at the very outside. 153 for 7, and it is likely to be a very big margin in Somerset's favour, as they have removed
good ball there, wasn't it?
Major hurdle, with all due respect to the others.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't. That wasn't a case of Chris Cook not having to play that delivery. He had to play at it, and it just did enough. It took the outside edge, and you could almost sense the determination of James Hildreth as that ball was in the air towards him. You know that he was going to catch this come what may, and he did. Well, we've got Rory Smith coming out with Kieran Carlson as a runner. So we did wonder whether he would appear, but he doesn't appear to be seriously inconvenienced by what Matt Maynard was saying. I can't remember what grade hamstring tear he was talking about, but it's all rather technical.
He didn't know us yet, basically, that you'll get the assessments done back in Cardiff. So Smith is actually coming in one place higher than in the batting order than the first innings, because De Lange came in at 9.
That was the last ball of Jamie Overton's 14th over. 14 overs, 3 maidens, 4 for 48. He has, and absolutely vital breakthrough for Somerset.
Craig Overton bowls, and that's lobbed up just over slip. Bull almost went there, as he was pinned almost by that one. Had it under no sort of control. The ball looped tantalisingly in the air. Thought it was going to be an easy catch at one point, but it just lobbed over the head of Gully, and they've gone through for a single.
Yeah, if Jamie Overton had been at Gully rather than Tom Lammonby, I mean, Lammonby's 6 foot, but the extra 5 inches I think would have made all the difference there. But
154 for 7. Rory Smith on strike, beaten all ends up by the first delivery, which would have tested a batsman with full movement, let alone someone with a hamstring tear of some variety.
He's wandering around the crease without showing any signs of discomfort whatsoever. There's not a hint of a limp. It's presumably when he breaks into, when he actually tries to run, that the danger is that he'll aggravate the tear.
Well, it's good news for his chances of participation maybe later in the tournament. Smith on naught, plays to forward square leg, no run.
The roars from it was a thick inside edge. I think they were rather hoping that they might miss the inside edge and thump into the pads.
So Chris Cook gone, Graham Wagg gone inside the first 40 minutes. And that, you would have to say, has removed any modicum of lingering doubt, as Smith defends one out on the offside, with all due respect to these last 4 Glamorgan batsmen. It's removed any realistic doubt about Somerset's opening victory in this competition. So they will be very much hoping for draws in the other 2 matches in this central group today. Northants are continuing to build on their lead, as that comes back into Smith, and he gets it off an inside edge somehow behind him down to square leg for a single.
Goodness knows how that missed the stumps.
Northants 348 for 6 in their second innings, 121 lead runs ahead of Warwickshire, having been 227 behind on first innings. And Gloucestershire have now crawled into the lead at Bristol at home to Worcestershire. They're 163 for 4, 2 ahead. As that ball beats, he may just have played inside that, to be fair. 154 for 7, Bull 8, Smith yet to score. Glamorgan need 302 runs from their final 3 wickets. Somerset need 3 wickets to get an early lunch and a half day off.
Yes, which they'll be grateful for. Although they won't be, they're not allowed to go out to a pub to celebrate, or anything. They'll be banned from pubs and restaurants. County players, they're not in the bubble in the way that the Test squad and the one-day international squad are, but obviously the ECB anxious to reduce the risk of anyone in first-class cricket becoming infected. Here's Jamie Overton, in and bowls to Bull, who does his best to get an edge on that. But it goes through to Stephen Davis. Yeah, I was saying just before the Chris Cook wicket that Somerset will be hopeful that they'll get 3 of their 4 England connected players back. Lewis Gregory, Tom Banton from the one-day squad, and hopefully Jack Leach will be released by the England Test squad, assuming that Dom Bess is again preferred, although speculation in the paper this morning that they might not play a spinner at all, England, with Ben Stokes fit to bowl again. This is a defensive shot from Kieran Bull out into the offside. It's going to be interesting to see this new young Pakistani fast bowler, Naseem Shah, 17 years old. Or
Allegedly.
They say he's genuinely quick. And they've got another very tall left-handed quick bowler, and then Mohammed Abbas, who of course is getting on a bit, but very capable. Here's Jamie Overton in and bowls to Bull outside the off stump. And certainly in Babar Azam, they've got an absolutely world-class batsman, as we know very well down here in Somerset.
Is there any possibility that he'll return for duties here?
Yeah, he was going to come back. Well, no, sorry, I'm getting mixed up with Corey Anderson. It was Corey Anderson who was Somerset's overseas player in T20 the season before last. He was going to come back as Jamie Overton bowls and playing a miss from Kieran Bull. I don't know. I mean, it'd be wonderful if he does come back. I mean, he and Tom Banton were such a spectacular opening partnership in T20 cricket for Somerset. They scored more runs between them than the rest of the batsmen put together, and they scored them at a ferocious rate as well. At Somerset's problem is a strange season, because Somerset's bowlers were their salvation in the county championship, and they were their Achilles heel in the T20 Blast. It's Jamie Overton to Kieran Bull, and he doesn't play a shot at a ball, leaving him and lifting outside the off stump.
Gloucestershire just 7 runs in the lead now with 4 wickets down. George Hankins has reached a 50 at Bristol against Worcestershire, but bowling teams out on the final day at Bristol is not always the simplest of tasks.
No, it's a bit like the pitches here. They just slowly expire over the course of the 4 days. Less and less life in them as Overton is in and bowls and squares Kieran Bull up, but he gets everything behind that, plays it out to the offside end of, that was a maiden over for Jamie Overton, which means he's got figures of 15 overs, 4 maidens, 4 for 48. It's 154 for 7. Bull on 8, and Rory Smith yet to score.
Yes, that was another occasion where Chris Cook batted through a final day to save a match with a century against Gloucestershire at Bristol a few years back, but that was a day of some tedium. This will not be saved by Chris Cook because he's back in the pavilion for 82. Craig Overton into Smith, who plays a solid defensive shot out on the offside, and there is no run. 60th over of the innings. Glamorgan's first innings lasted just 46.1 overs, so they've done slightly better second time round, but again the the loss of very cheap wickets up top. 3 for 29 in this innings. Craig Overton bowls, full length ball, driven nicely by Smith, but straight to Abel at cover, so Smith still to get off the mark. Looking relatively unencumbered in the crease by his hamstring injury. So Morgan might hope that he's back for round 4 or thereabouts. There is a gap, of course, between rounds 4 and 5 of the Bob Willis Trophy. As Craig Overton bowls and Smith turns it on the leg side towards square leg. May have come off the bat or off the thigh pad. There's no run in any case. So they can fit T20 games in, presumably over bank holiday weekend, when although there might not be spectators, there might be more TV viewers or TV slots available.
Do you think cricketers are as noisy as this in the normal course of events? Or is it just, or are they putting it on specially?
Craig Overton bowls, Smith tries to hook, doesn't get anything. It is nicely taken by Smith going down leg side. Well, I suppose if you put any bunch of young men together doing something that they enjoy, there's a certain amount of noise generated.
I just wonder whether they, you know, in the absence of crowd noise, whether they've sort of subconsciously turned up the volume. Because you don't, I mean, you can hear them when there's a crowd in, but not echoing around the ground quite as it is at the moment.
As Craig Overton is into Smith, who plays defensively on the offside. Abel fields no run. It's a good point. I suppose in the normal run of things, then you do get a bit of psychological lift for the players from the backing of the crowd. So yeah, they may feel the need to generate a little bit more themselves to help the bowler. As that's driven nicely by Smith through the offside, he stays in his crease. Carlson runs up and down somewhere in the far distance, and they have gone through for 3 runs as it's hauled in from just inside the deep cover boundary. Smith off the mark with 357 for 3. Kieran Carlson is running so wide of the wicket, he's not even in the same postcode, I don't think. In danger of colliding with the square leg umpire.
Just wondering if the pitches are marked. It was so far over on the square. There must be.
Now, I believe in English club cricket there are markings down either side of the wicket this season, I understand.
Are there?
It's not in operation in Wales, so that the batsmen run wide. Perhaps someone who's played this season can confirm this on Twitter, at AntGib, at NickWebb2017. I believe that's that was the instruction from the ECB.
So pitch markings are a devolved matter, are they?
Yes.
Jamie Overton in bowls, short, and Rory Smith just ducks underneath that one.
Yes, Cricket Wales. Well, the playing of cricket at all was a devolved matter because we started a week later than in England. Yeah. Cricket Wales instructions, which were by and large the same as ECB instructions for England. But yeah, I think that issue about lines for the batsmen to run on so that they didn't come into close proximity of the bowler in their follow-through, etc., etc.
Is Jamie Overton in and bowls to Rory Smith, who, well, not sure whether he played at that or not. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he just held his bat without pushing out at the ball as it went past his chest. As have most deliveries from Jamie Overton in this spell. He's been bowling just a little bit short of length. The one he got Chris Cook with was slightly fuller of length and didn't get up quite so sharply, and it had to be played. As Overton bowls, and a good solid looking shot into the offside by Rory Smith, but can't get it past Somerset captain Tom Abel. Jack Brooks and Josh Davey changing places in the field, which suggests that one or other of them is going to have a bowl. Davey going down to long leg and Brooks coming up to mid-on. We've had undiluted Overtons so far this morning. Jamie from the River End, Craig from the Somerset Pavilion end. Jamie Overton is in and bowls, and Smith thinks about having a go at that, wisely decides against it, takes his hand off the bat and lets it go through. And it's Jamie who's been the successful bowler. Picked up both the wickets that have fallen this morning. Graham Wagg for 1, and then the Glamorgan captain Chris Cook a couple of overs ago.
It looks as though Smith, if he is moving a little bit more freely, has adopted the his more conventional tactics than the swing from the hip of his first innings.
Yeah. It's Overton bowls to him, and again he thinks about playing at that, decides against it. 157 for 7, Glamorgan. Chris Cook making 82. And batted really well, didn't give a chance in that 82, and looked well set for a century. He made his runs from 138 deliveries with 10 fours.
Sadly, yet to register a century as Glamorgan captain in the championship.
He played the rising ball particularly well. As Overton is in, bowls to Smith, who plays that down to Rolf van der Merwe at third slip, who makes the stop. That was again quite deliberately angled down into the slips, long way from being a chance. Josh Davey has the ball. Whether this signifies that Josh Davey is going to bowl, it does, because he's just picked up his marker for his run. The fast bowlers always go out before the start of the match and make their marks on the outfield as to where they're going to start, so the white marker is just a further guide. 157 for 7 then at the end of that over.
And you're listening to BBC Sport Online, also via the Somerset County Cricket Club website. Pleased to see the numbers of 125,000 plus over the weekend who joined us at some point or other. Josh Davey to provide some non-Overton bowling. Davey is in, bowls, and Bull beaten by that one outside the off stump.
Yes, he was almost sort of jogging in there, Josh Davey, but produced a tremendous delivery when he got there. It looked like a bit of a warm-up, but 125,000, that's a lot, isn't it? And they say people aren't interested in county cricket.
Davey is in to bowl to Smith, to Bull rather, who defends that one out on the offside, and there's no run. Smith is at square leg, umpire Blackwell is at point, and Kieran Carlson, as the nippiest member of the Glamorgan side, is the runner.
He's about 70 yards away from Ian Blackwell, isn't he? Well, he's not. Rory Smith is.
Smith is a long way away from Blackwell, certainly.
Yeah.
Davey in bowls, and inside edge by Bull. We've seen quite a few go off the inside edge down to fine leg this morning, and it goes down for a single as Brooks does the fielding in front of the scoreboard next to the Colin Atkinson Pavilion. So Davey has been economical but not yet successful.
Well, Carlson is now 70 yards away from
yes.
umpire Blackwell.
He's running off the square almost, or on the final strip of the square. There's Davey bowls and Smith defends on the leg side, and there is no run on this very wide square at Taunton, which does stretch what 2/3 of the width of the arena. Obviously the practice nets on the left. Do they stage a lot of other minor games here as well as the county stuff?
No, not really. No. I think they've just been using those for practice.
Davey and bowls and beats Smith, prodding forward, not quite getting to the pitch of it, but again the ball just eluding the outside edge of the bat.
Women's cricket is played here.
Yes.
Taunton has been, I'm not sure if this still applies, but
Well,
certainly has been the home of English women's cricket.
Well, we await the fixtures for the Western Storm and the hub competition for this season, which obviously is going to be a very short affair. As Davey is into bowl. Oh, that's lobbed up to mid-wicket and caught, and Smith has gone and looks in disgust at the outside edge of his bat and wondering how he managed to get a leading edge onto that one. I think it was a leading edge.
Yeah. Roloff van der Merwe taking the catch.
Smith has gone for 3 and it's 158 for 8.
I don't know why he's quite so disgusted. I mean, it wasn't a particularly good shot, and he was through the shot too early. Leading edge.
I suppose it's a relatively soft way to get out, isn't it?
He did look
just lobbing a catch
completely disgusted with himself and with life and the world in general.
Well, if you've bothered to come out with an injury and played quite sensibly for... It is a soft way of dismissal. You feel you've sort of given it away, rather than the conventional edge being caught at slip where you think, well, you've been got out. But there we are, out he is, the 3rd wicket of the morning, and the end is probably reasonably nigh, given the batting styles of 10 and 11. Let's just hope for some entertainment along the way. Glamorgan need 298 further runs.
Tweet from Greg Hill down there at Hunterton. Good morning, thank you for all the commentary over the last few days. Hopefully we can get the match over before lunch so that I can watch Tom Banton play for England this afternoon. Well, it looks as though your wish is going to be granted, Greg, although weather's looking a bit threatening at the moment. The clouds are greyer than they were earlier on. There isn't any rain forecast.
Yeah, and follow that game, of course, on BBC Sport Online, on 5 Live Sports Extra, highlights and text updates and video clip updates on the website as well. Highlights on TV tonight.
And we've had an answer to your question about the pitch markings.
Is it happening?
Ant Hardwell says yes. As we started with 2-metre markers on both sides of the wicket for adult and junior matches, usually with extended crease lines for running between the wickets. That's in West Bristol and District League and beyond. So thanks for that. Here's Jamie Overton in and bowls. At least I assume it's Jamie Overton. I think it is. It is.
According to the board.
Yeah. I just wondered if they'd... if Craig Overton might have been brought on from the River End, but he's had a good bowl, has Jamie Overton, been bowling from the start this morning. He's got figures of 16.1 overs, 5 maidens, 4 for 48, so he just needs 1 wicket for his 5 for. He's bowling to Kieran Bull, the obdurate Kieran Bull. He's in and bowls, and that's so nearly an outside edge through to Stephen Davis. Didn't actually do a huge amount, that delivery, just enough to beat the outside edge. £158 for 8. Just the 2 wickets Somerset need. Again, grey clouds drifting over from west to east. Jamie Overton is in, bowls. Ooh, again. A play and a miss as ball followed that from Jamie Overton. I wonder if Jamie Overton's going to be available for Somerset's next game up at Northampton. he's certainly leaving Somerset for Surrey at some stage. There were hopes that he might stay on until the end of this season, but Somerset could perhaps do with the income that he'll get, as that's defended into the offside, that they'll get if he goes out on loan to Surrey between now and the end of the season. I don't know how much money that would involve, but as with all county clubs, Somerset have taken a big hit on their income, and it'll be an even bigger hit when members are offered refunds. But we will see. I'm sure, given the choice, Jamie Overton would like to stay with Somerset until the end of the season. He's coming in now from the river end. He's there, he bowls to Bull, and you will gather from the anticipation in my voice that Kieran Bull is not making much of Jamie Overton at the moment. Overton's bowling fast, he's getting plenty of lift, and he's moving the ball away from the right-handed batsman, and he's bowling a good line at high pace. And Bull has been trying to get bat on ball in vain so far this over. 3 slips in a gully, go down. Overton is in, bowled! A Yorker, a tremendous delivery from Jamie Overton, rips out the off stump of Kieran Bull. That's the 9th Glamorgan wicket to go down. Spectacular dismissal of Kieran Bull, bowled by Jamie Overton for 9. 158 for 9. Glamorgan still 297 runs behind Somerset, and Somerset now on the verge, you have to think, of their first win in this Bob Willis Trophy competition, having, I think it would not be unfair to say, having outclassed Glamorgan in this game, particularly with the ball. There's been a wide gulf, Nick Webb, between the quality of these two bowling attacks.
Yes, Glamorgan have proved unable to cope with the Overtons, really. With Craig having a 5-wicket haul in the first innings and Jamie having a 5-wicket haul in the second innings, and that illustrated it. Case of the bowler just being too good for a tail-end batsman, and as I've been saying throughout the match, I think this is going to be Glamorgan's toughest challenge. They haven't lived up to it, and they will lose by a very large margin. 158 for 9. One statistical nugget which I pass on to you, in case you didn't know, but you may well do, is that Craig Overton is now on 299 first-class wickets.
Is he? No, I didn't know that. So
it's provided by one of the Somerset staff this morning.
That's very, very good. Well, and that's a 5 for Jamie Overton, 5 for 48.
So, Josh Davey in to bowl to Marchant de Lange, and he defends it on the offside. There's no run. 2 hard swinging Glamorgan batsmen. 158 for 9. It hasn't been a case of Glamorgan being reckless this morning. They have tried their best to play sensibly, as that is defended by de Lange out on the offside. No run. I was hoping that there would be an alternative request for an interview today, but it'll have to be Mr. Maynard, who usually nearly always does duty at the end of a game, but I was hoping there'd be a player that we could add to him, but since I talked to Chris Cook last night. And it is de Lange facing up on 158 for 9. Davey bowls, and de Lange hits him high, over, long, off, Has that carried all the way for 6? Yes, it has. The Somerset fielders sportingly confirm, and we may get a modicum of entertainment before the inevitable demise of this 10th wicket pair. Off the mark with the 6.
Yeah, fine shot. A defiant blow.
They have bemused some of the Somerset players not having played Glamorgan in championship cricket. It didn't surprise me in the least. The only question is whether Hogan will try to match it, whether if he gets a chance, or if Davey manages to clean him up in this over. DeLange with a first class best of 90. Spectacular affair. Here comes Davey into bowl outside off stump. DeLange fiddles at it and misses.
Tom Abel down below us is just dropped back 30 yards from bid off. He's 2/3 of the way back. Must be very pleased with the way things have gone this morning. His big fast bowlers have wasted no time in mopping up the Glamorgan second innings.
So Jamie Overton providing the match concluding performance as Davey bowls, and where's that one gone? Over third man down towards the boundary. It's just picked up inside the ropes. They'll take 2 runs as DeLange was trying to play that one somewhere through mid-wicket, and it went 180 degrees away from where he was aiming. I was peering out on the leg side only to see Gully herring after it.
Commentator's nightmare, isn't it?
166 for 9, Glamorgan. 290 to win. Last wicket together. Davey into bowl. DeLange takes an agricultural swipe at a wide ball, which may have been useful in scything down some long grass in the outfield on a village club ground, but there was no real use in a professional cricket match. 166 for 9. Hogan yet to get off the mark. DeLange is 8. Glamorgan have lost Cook for 82, Wag for 1, Bull for 9, and Smith for 3. And I think it's fair to say that they've been generally got out this morning by Somerset rather than surrendering their wickets or playing any stupid shots.
Graham Wagg, well, he can be excused for playing a shot that he did to Jamie Overton. They've taken Jamie Overton out of the attack. Oh, I was just about to say he needs 1 wicket for his best bowling figures for Somerset, which as they stand are 6 for 95.
There we go. They will stand further at 6 for 95 because he's 5 for 48.
But they're bringing on Jack Brooks from the River End, and Jamie has been consigned to second slip, standing next to his brother. Here's Brooks then in to bowl to Hogan, who plays that back up the pitch. Jack Brooks, who I think he picked up 1 wicket, if memory serves, in the first innings.
Correct.
And he's wicketless so far in this 10.1 overs now, none for 41. Craig Overton 2 for 31, 17, bowled superbly. This is edged and caught, and that is it. Somerset have won. They've beaten Glamorgan. Jamie Overton taking the catch at second slip. It's the end of Michael Hogan. Glamorgan have been bowled out for 166, and Somerset win their first match in the Bob Willis Trophy by 289 runs. The players shake hands out in the middle. It was a good catch by Jamie Overton, diving low to his left to bring this match to a conclusion. A very satisfactory performance, particularly by Somerset's bowlers. The Overton twins quite outstanding in this game. Craig and Jamie, who picked up 5 wickets, Jamie Overton here this morning. They've mopped up Glamorgan for the addition of only another 40 runs, and as I say, win this game by 289 runs. And maybe that's a slight overstatement of Somerset's superiority, Nick Webb, because midway through Saturday afternoon, Somerset were in real trouble at 149 for 8, but since then it's been one-way traffic.
Yes, Glamorgan's batsmen have not been good enough to cope with the Overtons. Craig doing most of the damage in the first innings, Jamie most of the damage in the second innings after an initial burst by Craig, and they, between them, have had Glamorgan on toast, but hopefully Glamorgan will not face anything quite as hostile over a long period of time in any of their remaining 4 matches in the Bob Willis Trophy. As the players go off shaking hands, they're
not actually shaking hands, are they?
Fist bumps.
Fist bumps.
Yes, which slightly surprised to see even that, but there we are in these health-conscious times. 131 and 166 all out tells its own story. If you look at the Somerset scores, they're fairly respectable from the Glamorgan point of view. 296 and 290 for 8 declared, but the batting has not been up to the mark against a very good attack, and I don't think there'll be any panic measures on the part of Matt Maynard, who is a sensible and level-headed coach and has seen it all. And Glamorgan go forward to Worcestershire, hoping that this experience will not have damaged morale too badly on Saturday.
Yes, and Somerset's spirits will be lifted. I mean, this is a match that they would have expected to win and needed to win, if we're being honest, if they're going to have any realistic prospect of reaching the final of this Bob Willis Trophy. As I was saying, midway through Saturday afternoon, they were in deep trouble, Somerset. But those 2 partnerships for the 9th and 10th wicket, which almost doubled the Somerset first innings score, turned out to be absolutely crucial. 296 was the final total in that first innings, and I thought at the time that on this pitch, which it's been a good cricket wicket, there's been something in it for the quick bowlers, some bounce, some carry. Ball's been coming on nicely for the stroke-making batsmen as well, but 296 was always going to put the pressure on the Glamorgan batsmen against a top-class seam attack such as Somerset have, with, as I was saying, the Overton twins quite outstanding. So there we are, Somerset win by 289 runs. They've bowled Glamorgan out this morning for 166, and they march on to Northampton, where the next game starts on Saturday, hopefully reinforced by some of their England players and with their spirits high after a commanding victory over a gallant but in the end unavailing Glamorgan side. So that's it from the county ground at Taunton, from myself, Anthony Gibson, and from BBC Wales's Nick Webb. I hope that you'll be able to join me, if you're a Somerset supporter, from Wantage Road in Northampton as from Saturday. And Nick Webb, you will be at
New Road, Worcester, with Dave Bradley for commentary on Worcestershire against Glamorgan. Thanks very much indeed to all Welsh listeners, and indeed everyone else who's joined us over the course of these 3 and a bit days. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure, to talk about a cricket match happening in the UK at last.
It's been great to have cricket back again. Both of those games start at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. Hope you'll be able to join us for one or the other then, but for the time being, from myself, Anthony Gibson, and from Nick Webb, is goodbye from the county ground at Taunton.